For more videos like this for Operations Management 386, you can check out Sarai Studies, link is in the description box below. We spent the entirety of Chapter 2 learning how to do these optimization problems by hand. In this video, I'll show you how to just get the answer using Excel. Now, how do we do this? We use something called the solver. So to get the solver, if you are on Mac, on the top left corner, you'll see your Apple icon, and if you go to the right, you'll see Tools. If you click on that, click on Add-ins at the bottom, you'll have a pop-up and you want to check in Solver, click OK, and then under the Data tab in Excel, you'll see the solver show up right here. Now, if you're on Windows, you want to go to File. At the bottom left corner, you'll see Options. Click on that. You want to click on Add-ins at the bottom, where you see Excel Add-ins at the bottom. Click on the Go button, and then check in Solver, click OK, and then under the Data tab in Excel, you'll see it pop up over here. So it's going to just solve this problem. That's your solver. Now, to use it, you actually need to set some things up. So the first thing are the variables. How many variables do we have? We have two, x1 and x2. So we're just going to make some labels for them. And I'm going to click on this one, go to Home, click, and then drag, and then highlight them. So the whole idea is that it's going to solve for x1 and x2, and whatever it's going to get for x1 and x2, it's going to put it in here. So these are just labels. You can call this first variable, second variable, it doesn't matter. The second thing are your constraints. We're going to call these constraints, and I'm just going to call this constraint number 1. So there's 3 parts to a constraint. This part, the inequality, and then the part on the right side. So the first part says 2 times x1 plus 1 times x2. So we're going to set this first constraint to be equal to, because it's a formula, literally what I just read, 2 times whatever x1 is going to be, not this x1, that's just a label, but whatever it's going to be, plus whatever x2 is going to be. That's the first part. And then the second part is the inequality. So you can put less than or equal to, or you can write less than or equal to. It actually doesn't matter what you put there, and you'll see why once we get to the solver. And then the right part is 10. Now for the second constraint, it's 3 times x1 plus 4 times x2. So that's exactly what we're going to say. It's equal to 3 times whatever x1 is going to be plus 4 times whatever x2 is going to be. Second part is the inequality. It's the same inequality. And then the right side is 50 this time. And finally, we do have 2 more constraints because this is 2 and 1, but we don't actually have to write that down because there's a button in the solver that takes care of that for us. Remember, this constraint just says, hey, we only want to focus on the first quadrant where x1 and x2 are always greater than or equal to 0. So the solver will take care of that for us. And the last thing is the objective function. So I'm going to say objective function z is equal to what? Well, it's equal to 20 times x1. So equal to 20 times whatever x1 is going to be plus 30 times whatever x2 is going to be. So 30 times whatever x2 is going to be, and then click enter. And now you have everything that you need set up. This is the simplest template that you can have. So I'll have this linked for you under Sarai Studies so you can actually download this and not have to make it yourself. But how do we use this? Well, we go to data, we go to solver, and then the first cell is where your objective function is going to be. So that's just this one. This is a max problem. So you want to make sure max is selected. If it was a minimization problem, you would select min. Here is where your variables will be. So you want to select the first one and then hold down and drag. Then we have constraints, so we can add the constraints. Remember where I said it was 3 parts? The first one is this one. The second one, remember when I said that it doesn't matter what you put in because you actually selected here, is less than or equal to, and then the constraint is actually 10 right there. So you want to add it. The second constraint, the cell reference is this one. It's less than or equal to, and then it's 50. Add it. And then X when you're done. Now this button right here takes care of these 2 constraints here. It's going to make sure that x1 and x2 are greater than or equal to 0, meaning we only focus on the first quadrant. And finally, the algorithm we're going to be using is Simplex LP in this class, and we want to click on Solve. Now you want to select the answer and sensitivity reports, and then click OK. And now at the bottom, you'll see 2 new sheets. You have the answer report and the sensitivity report, and in the next video, we'll talk about how to analyze these, how to use them, and what information it tells you. But if you go over here, you see that it actually solved the problem for us. It gave us our optimal point. x1 needs to be 0, x2 needs to be 10. It also gave us our objective solution, which is 300. So again, we'll talk about more of these in the next video. I will see you in the next. Bye.